Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to. So we are back with a brand new movie on what if Naruto hide private picture of Tsunade and Kurenai in secret room movie. But before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story. Naruto was sitting in the old man's office once again. He usually came here when he was bored or lonely, as he didn't have any friends and some of villagers would look at his with looks that resembled fear. He didn't know why some of the villagers were scared of him. He didn't do anything scary in his opinion, and he was always polite. The people at the ramen stand were kind, and a good number of people were kind to him, but there were always that one person who looked at him like he might attack at any second. Naruto came to the old man, because he wanted someone to play with him. The other kids always played some weird games like hide and seek, duck duck goose, and a few others that Naruto thought were pointless. He just could not understand what they thought was so fun about such silly games, but then again Naruto knew he was different because all he wanted to do was learn how to be a real ninja. But all the old man would let him practice was Bukajutsu, Fuinjutsu, and the Academy Taijutsu. When Naruto got to the old man's office, he was greeted by the man's secretary. She was a kind older woman whose hair was starting to gray, but her eyes were still that sparkling green that spoke of mischief. She usually played with him when she had the time. She was one of the only people Naruto truly acted like a kid his age around, but today she had errands to run and told him the Hokage would be back in a few minutes, so he should just wait in his office. Naruto was 8 years old, with shiny sun-blonde hair that stuck out in every direction, making his head look like the sun. He had bright crystal blue eyes that seemed to sparkle when he was excited. He was slightly tan, with 3 faint lines on each side of his face. He wore a dark blue pair of cargo pants, black ninja sandals, and a black t-shirt, which had the symbol of his clan on the back. The symbol was a circle filled in by a red swirl inside of it, which kind of reminded Naruto of the 9-tailed fox's tails he had seen in pictures. Naruto was the last known member of the illustrious Uzumaki clan, and for that he was allowed to stay in the Uzumaki clan compound. Naruto usually waited for the old man to come back, but today he was just too excited. He would be starting learning how to use jutsu and start real ninja training today, although he would be teaching himself from the scrolls in his clan compound, but still he was very excited. He came to the old man to ask for advice on what he should train in first, so he would not make a mistake, but since the old man was not around, Naruto decided to take a look around. The old man's office was filled with scrolls, paperwork, and had a large desk in the center of the room. On the wall were 4 faces. The one on the far right was the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze. Minato was famed for 4 things. The first thing was the invention of the Rasengan, the pinnacle of chakra control and shape manipulation. The second was his use of the Flying Thunder God technique, which let his travel at unheard of speeds, but was limited by the number of kunai with a special seal he invented, and where those kunai were at the time. The third thing was that he destroyed a large portion of Iwa's military force all by himself, which was probably the reason he was made Hokage over the other worthy candidates. The last great thing he did was the defeat of the Kyuubi Kitsune, but it was also the reason he died. The second face to the far right was the old man, Tsurutobi Hiruzen, the 3rd Hokage, aka the Old Man. The Old Man is the longest running kage to ever hold the title of kage. He is said to have mastered every jutsu in the village, except the ones that require a bloodline to use, or a secret technique that the clans would not let him learn. The picture next to the 3rd Hokage was the 2nd Hokage. He was the Nadaime, Tobirama Senju. He was responsible for establishing Konoha's organizational system. He established various organizations such as the Academy, the Anbu, the Chunin exams, and the Konoha military police force, which was run by the Uchiha clan. He died trying to negotiate a peace treaty with Kumo, but was attacked by the legendary Gold and Silver brothers, which eventually lead to Tobirama's demise, and because of the incident Kumo and Konoha have been at each other's throats ever since. He was also the one who invented the jutsu the 4th Hokage became famous for, the Flying Thunder God technique. Then there was the Shodai Hokage. He was responsible for the creation of the hidden villages, bringing together the clans, bringing a more stable peace amongst the elemental nations, and was the only man in history able to defeat all 9 of the legendary Biju. He was the only person to be born naturally with the wood-release bloodline, which he used to achieve these feats. Sometimes Naruto really wished he had such an awesome ability, but was determined to be great no matter what. As Naruto was searching through the old man's office looking to find something interesting, his foot got caught on the rung, causing his to fall face first into the wall. This caused the picture of the 1st Hokage to rattle and fell down, but luckily Naruto had fast reflexes and caught it before it could fall to the ground and become damaged. OWWWWWW. How am I going to be a great ninja if I am tripping over rugs? Muttered Naruto. As he stood up to put the picture back on the wall, he noticed a small opening in the wall that had a small scroll in it. Curious, Naruto reached in and grabbed the scroll, eager to find out what was inside it. He placed the picture of the first Hokage back on the wall, and returned his attention to the scroll he found. As he read the scroll, he became very interested. Apparently a man by the name of Kakuzu had tried to assassinate the first Hokage using a kenjutsu by the name of Earth Grudge Fear. It talked about how the man could create powerful black threads from his body and manipulate them to do all kinds of incredible things. It said he could replace his organs with someone else's to keep himself alive and healthy. It gave him the ability to use all 5 of the elements, it increased his overall abilities, and bettered his healing abilities. Naruto thought this jutsu was amazing, not understanding how dangerous kenjutsu were, and decided that he wanted it. Naruto removed the note that the Shodai had left so he could read the rest of the scroll. It said to gain the ability to use the Earth Grudge Fear, one must place their dominate hand over the seal matrix that was positioned at the center of the storage seal and push chakra into his dominate hand before placing his hand on the seal. It had a little caption at the bottom about how the Earth Grudge Fear was a deadly technique, but was potentially lethal to the one trying to obtain it, as the threads could kill the one trying to gain its powers. Of course, Naruto, being the excited 8-year-old that he was, disregarded the warning, and started to channel his chakra into his right hand. They had unlocked their chakra the first day of class last week, and were taught the basics on how to channel it. As soon as Naruto was sure he had done everything correct, he slammed his right hand on the seal, and for a split second thought nothing was going to happen. That was when thousands of black hair, thin string-like things shot out of the seal and started to pierce Naruto's skin. Naruto freaked out and started shouting, but no matter what he did, more of the black strings rushed into his body. He could feel them wiggling around inside his body as they were everywhere. He could feel them moving to his head, his fingers, and his legs, everywhere. He continued to scream for help, and try and get away from the threads, but they just kept coming. An Anbu ninja with a crane mask rushed in, and saw what was happening. He was not like some of the villagers who feared the boy, and knew he was a good kid from watching him during some of his shifts. He instantly went to cut at the strings, but when he did cut through them, they just reconnected themselves, but now the strings were attacking him to keep him away from Naruto. After 5 minutes of the strings were gone, but if you looked closely enough you could still see them moving under the boy's skin. Acting fast, the crane-masked Anbu grabbed Naruto, and rushed him to the hospital, where they took him, and started to try and help him. After the nurses had taken the boy away, the Anbu member instantly body flickered to where the Hokage was. 4 hours later, what hit me?" asked Naruto, as he tried to sit up, only to be pushed back down by an even wrinkled Hokage. He looked like he was 10 years older, but he had a look of happiness in his eyes that told Naruto that he was happy to see him. "Geez, old man, you look like hell," laughed Naruto at the irony of that statement. The Hokage did not miss it as well as he chuckled good-naturedly. After the friendly chuckle, his eye turned serious, and Naruto knew he was in trouble. "Naruto, what happened in my office while I was away? Where did you get that scroll, and why did you use it knowing it was a kenjutsu?" asked the Hokage in no-nonsense kind of voice. "Well, I was in your office waiting for you to ask if you would give me some pointers so I would know where to start my ninja training, but you were not there, and your secretary had to leave, so I decided to wait in your office. I was so excited that I couldn't sit still, so I started to look around your office, but made sure not to touch anything that could be important like you said. While I was looking around, I tripped on your rug, and went face first into the wall right underneath the Shodai's picture. I guess the impact caused it to fall, but I was able to catch it. When I went to put it back on the wall, I saw that scroll was there and started to read through it. It sounded like a really cool ability, and I wanted to be the best ninja in the village, so I decided to use it. I didn't realize it would be so painful or dangerous, so I am glad I was able to get away before it finished," spoke Naruto, as he explained what had happened. The Hokage had a surprised look on his face, which Naruto figured was because there was a scroll in his office that not even he knew about. "I think you were misunderstood what had happened to you, Naruto-kun. You see, you did activate the kenjutsu, and once a kenjutsu starts it is almost impossible to stop. You were already too far in the process of adapting to that kenjutsu to stop, so now you are probably the only person alive who can use the Earth Grudge Fear kenjutsu. Congratulations, Naruto," spoke the Hokage with a twinkle in his eye. "You mean it really worked?" shouted Naruto, with a look of pure excitement on his face. "Yes, but I was reading up on the Earth Grudge Fear, and I discovered it will be a while before you can start to use it without harming yourself. You will need to greatly increase your chakra control, which will not be easy for you, because you already have such a large amount of chakra for your age. It is good that you're starting to learn chakra control early, as it would be hell for you if you waited till you were older. I want you to rest for today, and tomorrow you can leave. If you are good, I will give you a couple of scrolls on chakra control exercises, so that you can start your training tomorrow." For now I want your body to get acclimated to having those strange threads living inside of you," spoke the Hokage, as he stood up and walked out of the room. "Oh, and by the way, I am giving you the scroll that contains the Earth Grudge Fear, but you have to promise me you will not let anyone else use it until you are old enough to make those kinds of decisions," spoke the Hokage. He tossed Naruto the scroll that contained the Earth Grudge Fear and walked out of the room. Naruto just smiled at the old man and waved as he left. He kept looking at the scroll as he opened and closed his hand around it with a smile on his face. He could already tell he was a little bit stronger and would only keep getting stronger from here on out. His dream of becoming Hokage and bring fame and fortune to the Uzumaki clan was that much closer to being realized. The next day, Naruto was released from the hospital, and as soon as they let him get out of the wheelchair he rocketed off towards the old man's office. It took about 10 minutes, but Naruto had plenty of stamina to burn and was easily able to make it to the old man's office in half that time. As he walked up to the secretary to ask if the old man was in, she scooped him up into a hug and told him how worried she was. It took 10 more minutes, but he was finally able to convince her that he was fine. Normally he would have been aggravated that someone was keeping him from his training, but he was far too happy that someone cared enough to shed tears for him, so he put up a smile and comforted her until she was better. After that little moment she led him into the Hokage's office where he was stamping a bunch of papers with a look that said he wanted to burn all of it to ashes. "Hey old man, how it hanging?" asked Naruto, as he sat across from the old man with barely restrained enthusiasm. The Hokage saw this, and was actually happy for a distraction from his paperwork. "Nothing that a trained monkey couldn't do," grumbled the old man, as he sat back in his chair. "So I am guessing you were here to get the scroll I filled with chakra control exercises?" asked the Hokage with a smirk. "Yes. I cannot wait to start training, so that I can be an awesome ninja like you," spoke Naruto. He knew from watching some of the old man's meeting that compliments could get you anywhere. The old man seemed to realize this if the smirk he was currently wearing was any kind of giveaway. "Okay. But I want you to promise me that you will not try and use the Earth Grudge Fear until you have at least mastered water walking," spoke the old man, as he held the scroll just out of Naruto's reach. Naruto grumbled about the stipulation, but finally conceded. "Alright old man, you got a deal. Now give me the scroll, I am dying over here," shouted Naruto. The Hokage laughed at his plight, but tossed Naruto the scroll anyways. As soon as the scroll made contact with Naruto's hands, he and the scroll disappeared. If the Hokage didn't know any better he would have figured Naruto had just used the Flying Thunder God technique to leave his office. With Naruto was running at the speed of a low chunin towards his favorite training spot. Naruto had been teaching himself how to throw kunai, shuriken, and senbon since he was 6 years old by using his clan's scrolls. It was slow at first, but it didn't take him long to figure it out. After that he just needed to get used to it. Now though Naruto would be starting to learn something to do with chakra, and he was very excited. When Naruto finally got to his secret training ground, he sat in the center of it. It was perfect in Naruto's opinion. There were thick trees that formed a semicircle around a small clearing covered by soft green grass and white clover flowers. It was connected to a good-sized pond that was also surrounded by thick trees. Naruto figured he was the only person who knew of this place, and he was plenty fine with that. He opened up the scroll the old man gave him and began to read. There were a couple of chakra control techniques. There was how to activate your chakra, then the leaf balancing exercise, followed by tree walking, which was the exercise before water walking, and finally kunai spinning, before you get into some seriously crazy stuff. Naruto rolled up the scroll and placed it on the ground beside a tree. He hadn't mastered the leaf floating exercise at school yet, which aggravated him because he really wanted to learn how to walk up trees, but the old man's lessons rang in his head about how the basics were very important, and that if you skip steps it is bound to haunt you in the future. With those things in mind he reluctantly decided to master the leaf balancing exercise first. He picked up a leaf that had recently fallen, and placed it on his head while using his chakra to make it stick. Naruto was told that the longer he could hold it there the better, and after the 10-minute marker you were considered adequate at it. Naruto wanted to be the best, so he figured he would need great chakra control. His mission was to be able to keep the leaf on his head for at least 1 whole hour. For the next 2 weeks Naruto practiced the leaf balancing exercise constantly. He would run for an hour a day, do some light exercises, read about some basic seals at his compound for a while, and followed by an hour of bukajutsu, weapon techniques, practice. Naruto made sure his skills with the kunai, shuriken, senbon, and the katana did not get rusty as he practiced mastering his chakra control. After Naruto was successfully able to keep the leaf connected to his head for a solid hour he moved on to the next technique, tree walking. It was much more difficult than the leaf balancing technique because he not only had to channel chakra to the bottom of his feet, which was the hardest place in the human body to channel chakra, but also had to make sure that he sent the appropriate amount of chakra so that he did not fall off of the tree. It took about the same amount of time to perfect the tree walking technique as it did the leaf floating technique, but another 2 additional weeks to master tree walking while throwing kunai. Naruto figured that combining chakra control and bukijutsu training together could only help in the long run. He fell out of the trees while practicing tree combat, as he called it, more times than he could count, but thanks to his lightning fast reflexes was always able to catch himself before he came to any serious damage. When he finally believed he was ready to move up to the next level, Naruto went to his own private pond. It was a good-sized and very deep. Naruto wondered how many people caught colds from practicing this, but knew he wouldn't since he had never been sick before. It only took a week to learn the water walking technique, but an additional 2 to be able to jump up and down on the water without falling through. Then there was the fact that he would try and mix in bukijutsu by throwing kunai at targets set up around the lake. Some of the targets were in plain view, while others were only barely sticking out. Naruto was proud of himself for how far he had come. Okay, I kept my end of the deal. Now I can finally start practicing using my earth grudge fear, thought Naruto, as he sat down in a meditative position. He slowly started to feel out his chakra, and then used it to connect to the countless threads that were now a part of his body. He could already control the threads somewhat when he first got them, but now he could literally will them to do his bidding. At first he just got used to moving them, and having 1 or 2 threads poke out of his skin. It was weird watching it, but Naruto also thought it was cool. He started to twist the threads into a thin rope, willed it to pull back, and then willed it once more to slash at the tree in front of him. He was amazed at how deep the slash mark made. Oh yes, totally worth the pain for getting such an amazing power, spoke Naruto as he continued to training how to manipulate the black threads. For nearly 2 years Naruto continued to train himself, as well as to push himself to the limits. He was already really skilled at making seals, and could not wait to learn how to use the seals his family made for the lord of the Hozukiho castle to keep the prisoners in line. It was too bad that his natural affinity was for wind and not fire, so he knew he would have to wait to learn how to use them. He practiced multiple forms of bukijutsu every day so that his skills would always stay sharp. So far he could honestly say he was the best at throwing weapons in his entire school, even better than the chunin that worked there. He always carried a light brown wood handle, wood sheath, and no guard wakizashi on his belt behind his back. He was very skilled using it, but was too short to use a full-sized katana, so he settled for something that would work almost as good until he was big enough to use a full-sized katana. He used an Uzumaki clan kenjutsu style that was unique to the Uzumaki clan. The style was called the Dance of the Wind Goddess, as it was fast, graceful, precise, and looked like a deadly dance. A year ago he learned that he had a wind release affinity, which was odd since it was such a rare affinity to have for some living in fire country, but he attributed that to the fact that his mother hadn't been born in fire country but in Uzushiogakure. Naruto knew that when he started doing real missions he would be able to collect the hearts from fallen ninja and in turn their elemental affinities. He was absolutely giddy thinking about mastering all 5 elements. It only took 1 year to truly master his wind release, and he used a few months to master a few useful wind techniques. The most useful wind technique that he learned was the flying swallow technique, which increased all of his bukijutsu skills, as well as his earth grudge fear attacks. After searching through the Uzumaki clan library, Naruto found a scroll depicting a taijutsu style that the lord of Hozukiho castle had sent them as a thank you present for making the heavenly prison techniques. It was called Grass Shadow style, and from what Naruto read it was really good. It used fast compact attacks, quick agile reversals, locks, and a powerful defensive stance. Naruto has spent the last year practicing it, and he could honestly say he was pretty good, but without experience or anyone to practice with he could only get so good. He didn't have any luck performing genjutsu. He asked the old man Hokage about that, and he explained that even though he had good chakra control for someone with Naruto's chakra reserve, but for him to be able to use even intermediate level genjutsu Naruto would have to have nearly perfect chakra control. Naruto was depressed when he heard that, but settled for mastering the genjutsu release technique to make sure he did not fall prey to a master genjutsu user. He did have some ideas on how to get around his handicap, but that would have to wait till later. Still, without someone to actually put a genjutsu on Naruto, all of his training was more theoretical than anything else. Now Naruto was off to the academy for his final year at the academy. He didn't see the point in going as it was all a bunch of BS in his opinion, but that would change when he became the 5th Fire Shadow. He knew the old man was slowly dying inside, metaphorically speaking, having to deal with all the woes of the people, the power-hungry council, the giant stacks of paperwork, and the whiny clan heads. He knew the old man only had about another 6 more years in him before he would not be able to take it, which was perfect for him, as it would give him time to get powerful, renowned, and experience. He would be the fifth fire shadow at 15, youngest ever, and prove himself as the greatest Kage ever, thus elevating the Uzumaki clan in the eyes of the world. He would honor his ancestors' sacrifice in the Second Shinobi War by becoming the bane of the countries that destroyed his ancestral home. The only problem Naruto was having was the old man would not let him take the heart of a prisoner with a fire release. He wanted to try out the organ assimilation technique of the Earth Grudge Fear, but the old man had been putting him out. He wanted a fire release heart so that he would be able to use fire release techniques to their fullest, but the old man kept dodging the subject. Well, not today. He was about to march in there and tell the Hokage what's what. "Hello Naruto-kun, how are you today?" asked the Hokage's assistant in her ever-friendly manner. Naruto really liked her. She was almost like a sister trying to make up for lost time, or a very loving aunt. "Hello, I am here to see the old man. Is he in today?" asked Naruto. He always showed respect, as it would make becoming Hokage easier if people liked him, but when he spoke to her his words were softer, more genuine, and she just knew he meant all of the kind things he said to her. "I am sorry Naruto-kun, but the Hokage is down in torture and interrogation today. A spy was caught and it seems he just won't crack. I heard that neither Anko nor Ibiki could get him to crack," spoke the secretary. That shocked Naruto. He had heard of the masterful skill Ibiki had with interrogation prisoners, and Anko Mitarashi was not far behind him in terms of skill, although he had heard her methods were far more sadistic. "Okay, well, I need to talk to him, so even if he was peeping like he said his student did, I would still go talk to him," spoke Naruto with confidence. "Oh, you're really pumped up today, aren't you? Going to try and corner the Hokage again and make him let you take one of the prisoner's hearts for you collection," laughed the secretary. She was disturbed at first when he explained to her all that his Kenjutsu could do, but over time she got over her shock, and after seeing it in action she could see how practical it was. She found it funny that every day he would come here to argue with the Hokage only to be bribed with something else like a new jutsu, or something else. She remembered when he mastered his wind release, the Hokage gave him an B-ranked wind release jutsu. He was so excited he completely forgot why he was there and rushed off to learn how to use it. She didn't see him for a whole week, which depressed her, but when he did finally come back he had swag in his step and she just knew he had mastered it. "Yeep, and he won't get away from me this time," shouted Naruto as he ran towards the T&I building. 20 minutes later, Naruto was walking through the T&I building getting funny looks from the ninja with the animal masks, but they didn't say anything to him. After a few minutes Naruto was directed to a room that had 4 people in it. The first person was the third Hokage with a serious look on his face. The second was a man with a bandana on his head, big black trench coat on, and scars all over his face. The third person in the room was an attractive woman with a mesh bodysuit on, thick gray trench coat, and orange skirt, with combat boots on. She had a pineapple-shaped hairstyle and the color of her hair was a bright purple color. The last guy was tied to a chair, and looked worse for wear. He was a dark-skinned man, which meant he was probably from Kumo, with fresh cuts on his body, was soaked to the bone, and looked like he had been starved here recently. "Hey old man, I need to talk to you," shouted Naruto with a grin on his face. Everybody, including the beaten to hell and back Kumo ninja, looked at him in shock. "Naruto-kun, what are you doing here?" demanded the Hokage, already dreading what he was about to say. "You have been avoiding my request, so don't think hiding down here with our foreign buddies is going to hide you from me. As you know, I am a natural-born tracker," grinned Naruto. "Naruto, please let's not do this now," spoke the Hokage, looking like he was hoping to avoid this conversation. "Nope, you promised that you would let me use my Kenjutsu as soon as I mastered water walking, but you have been avoiding letting me use that ability," spoke Naruto as he crossed his arms in front of his body. "Sai, okay Naruto, you can use it on this guy just as soon as we get all the information out of him as we can," spoke the Hokage with a tired look on his face. "Is that all? Why didn't you say so? I'll have this idiot singing in no time," spoke Naruto. Anko looked like she was about to say something snappy, but stopped when she saw thin black threads starting to come out of the kid's skin. The threads traveled to the struggling Kumo ninja, but he stopped struggling as soon as the threads entered his brain. Naruto had a theory that he could use the Earth Grudge Fear to manipulate the brain if he did it right. After a few minutes he found where his brain stored the memories, and instantly Naruto started to see the things that this guy had seen. He found who he was, that he had the Scorch Release bloodline, which was a combination of wind and fire, and why he was spying on Konoha. He was here to scout out the Hyuga clan compound. Kumo is planning on kidnapping one of the unmarked Hyuga children while we signed a peace treaty with them. This would make it impossible to go to war with them, get the unmarked Hyuga back, and basically protect Kumo from any possible repercussions for their actions," spoke Naruto, as the black threads started to retract back into his skin. Everyone was gasping at what Naruto had just said. Ibiki was amazed at the potential the Earth Grudge Fear had with interrogation, as was Anko, but they were all surprised at what Kumo was planning on doing. Before anyone could react, Naruto shot out many of the dark threads that inhabited his body into the Kumo ninja's chest, and then using the strings removed the man's heart. He used the black threads to open a hole in his chest to allow the new heart to enter, and used those same black threads to stitch himself back up. Thanks to his healing capabilities, Naruto healed without even the faintest of scars. Looking back at the adults who had looks of shock on their faces, Naruto said, "Well, I got what I wanted, so I will catch you later, old man, scar face, pineapple head." After saying his goodbyes, Naruto ran off to test out his now natural fire release affinity.
Well, that was surprising, spoke Ibiki, as he watched the kid run away with a smile on his face like he just won the lottery.
Very, spoke the Hokage, as he walked off contemplating how he was going to make sure Kumo didn't get an unmarked Hyuga child. I think I am in love, spoke a very stunned Anko, which promptly made the Hokage and Ibiki do a double take. Oh, poor Naruto-kun, Gaki. You have a very deadly snake after you, so you better watch out, thought Ibiki and the Hokage, as they felt sorry for the young blonde.
When Naruto finally made it back to his secret training ground, he started thinking about the Kumo ninja he had killed.
It was his first kill, and although he put on a tough face to make sure the Hokage did not use it as an excuse for Naruto not use his kenjutsu, he was still in shock. He was barely able to keep a straight face while leaving, but he was not able to hear as he was replaying everything in his repeatedly. Naruto quickly shook his head to remove the depressing thought that were starting to plague his mind.
Get a hold of yourself, Naruto. The man was trying to kidnap a child to use as a breeding factory. He deserved to die, and I refuse to feel bad about killing him, spoke Naruto as he started doing his before training stretches. After he was done, he stood up and started thinking about everything that the Kumo ninja had known.
He knew how to use wind and fire release in their elemental training, so furthering learning fire release should not take nearly as long as mastering wind release, since I already have experience mastering fire release thanks to the memories of that Kumo nin. He knew a great Kumo kenjutsu style which I should probably learn as it would help my kenjutsu, and he knew an interesting Kumo taijutsu style which I should learn.
He had no skill in fuinjutsu, which is not surprising, but he did know a little genjutsu and some interesting stealth skills that I should practice.
The two things that interest me the most are the kenjutsu that he knew and his scorch release. I wonder if I would be able to use the scorch release bloodline now that I have his heart. I need to learn the shadow clone technique as it will greatly increase my training, but using them will be difficult.
I can't have them doing a whole bunch of tasks, or else all the information they send back will be all muddled and I won't learn a thing. I will still need to train physically as the clones don't seem to be able to help me in that field. Okay, first master the shadow clone jutsu, and then master the rest, spoke Naruto as he started to practice the shadow clone just you. It was not very hard, which confused Naruto, but apparently it did not require almost any chakra control, just lots of chakra.
Mass shadow clone jutsu, shouted Naruto as he placed his finger in a cross sign that was used for making the shadow clones. It was an odd sign since it was not one of the 12 standard hand seals. After Naruto used the shadow clone, just 200 clones popped into existence that looked exactly like Naruto. They just looked at him like they were expecting him to tell them what to do. Naruto was thankful for that, as he didn't want them all to be asking questions and causing discord while he tried to use them to train. Hey just shut up, shouted Naruto as he looked out at the sea of clones. He felt kind of stupid shouting at himself this way, but it seemed to be the only way to communicate with them. What do you want, boss? Shouted one of them as they looked at Naruto with unblinking eyes. It kind of creeped Naruto out, but he kept his mouth shut, not wanting them to riot or something. We need training, and this is the best way I know of, spoke Naruto as he scratched the back of his head. Maybe he made too many of them. He certainly didn't want brain damage from the backlash of too many memories entering him brain too quickly.
So what do you want us to do? Shouted another clone. Naruto scratched his chin and thought for a bit. He could always just have them practice a skill he had already worked on, such as kenjutsu or something, but right now he wanted to try something new.
We are going to start learning fire release. We absorbed that Kumo ninja's heart and he had a fire and wind affinity. I already have a wind release affinity and I already know how to use it, so learning a bunch of jutsu would be pointless. Besides, I am interested in combination jutsu, spoke Naruto as he pulled out a scroll and looked at it. It was on combination jutsu, something that teams didn't even really practice that often, and clenched it firmly. Alright, shouted the clones, jumping up and down. Naruto figured they would be happy learning ninjutsu since he himself loved to learn it, but practicing elemental manipulation was different. Alright, everyone, find a leaf and hold it between your thumb and index finger. After that, try and convert your chakra into fire chakra. The idea is to cause a small hole to form in the center of the leaf and slowly burn outwards. We will be ready to move on to the next portion of Fire Master after that, spoke Naruto as he started running. The clones knew he was going to go and improve his endurance by running until he dropped, so they went about their task of learning and mastering how to change their chakra into fire-based chakra. It wasn't as easy as they had first assumed it would be. More than half of them cut the leaves that they were holding in half by accidentally converting their chakra into wind chakra. Even after they stopped doing that, progress was slow. They started to get aggravated until one of them was able to burn a small hole in the center of his leaf, right before he popped out of existence. This caused the memories to travel to the rest of them and they learned what he had. After that it was on to spreading the fire chakra through the leaf. It took the clones an entire week to finish mastering the exercise and they were beginning to hate fire release. Damn guys, that was fast, spoke Naruto as he walked up to the group of clones. He wasn't surprised when they gave him the evil eyes. They hadn't been exactly quite in their hatred in learning how to learn fire release. Naruto just thought they were a bunch of babies cause he spent way longer trying to master the first step of wind release than they had fire release, unless you add up all the time it took for them to learn fire release, because then it would be exactly the same. That was awful, shouted one of the clones. Aw, shut up you bunch of babies, we are going to finish mastering fire release, spoke Naruto, eyeing them with his own evil eye. They back off instantly. Alright, the next and last step in mastering fire release is to boil a small body of water. Luckily there are places in Konoha for this since there are so many people here who have a fire release, spoke Naruto with a smile on his face. They all went to complain but Naruto dismissed them before they could. After an hour of running, Naruto came to a large wooden building in the forest that had a plaque that said, "Mastering the Flame." Naruto figured it was the right place to be, so he entered it and was surprised by what he saw. The building had that old school wooden wall look, thick stone floors, low-lit room with small burning torches, and not a soul in sight. In the center of the room was a giant cauldron with a held up about a foot off the ground. Alright, let's do this, spoke Naruto as he made 50 shadow clones. They all surrounded the cauldron and started to channel fire chakra while another clone stood on top of the cauldron and watched to see if it would start boiling. It took a solid month to complete this exercise. Naruto thought it was a bit flawed himself. Even if they did create the correct temperature to boil water, it would still take time for the water to boil. Naruto suspected this was done on purpose. If the water had boiled instantly when Naruto's chakra had reached the correct temperature, then he would have stopped. Since it didn't boil instantly, Naruto continued to train and learn to channel fire chakra faster and hotter, causing the water to boil faster. Naruto suspected this was idea of the Hokage to strengthen Konoha's ninja without them even knowing. He was a clever old man. Alright you guys, even though you all complained like little babies, I think we did really good, so now as a reward we will be learning a few fire-style jutsu, spoke Naruto, instantly become the Shadow Clone's best friend again. The Hazukiyo family has provided us with plenty of unique and useful jutsu, so those are the ones we are going to learn. Once again all of the clones cheered and soon they got to work. They spent the next month and 3 weeks learning multiple jutsu. It was fun and the clones seemed to love it, but Naruto knew they couldn't waste all of their time just learning elemental jutsu, so one day he called them all back to him to break the bad news. Alright guys, it was fun and all, but it is about time we get back to learning something else, spoke Naruto right before the groans started to pop up. Naruto ignored them and persevered. I will be making 100 clones. The objective is to fight one another and learn to fight using only the Taijutsu style that I assign you or the Kenjutsu style, nothing else. Naruto made a few more clones to fill in the order and had one group of 50 clones stand on one side of the field while he made the others stand on the other side of the field. Alright, I want that side to use the Dancing Wind Goddess Kenjutsu style, while I want that side to use the Kumo Ninjas Kenjutsu style called the Headhunter style. You will fight until only one group is left, spoke Naruto, but once again they started to complain. Hey, they already know how to use their Kenjutsu style and we don't. Why don't we get to train before doing this crap? Shouted one of the clones on the Kumo Ninjas style side. Naruto could only sigh and rub his head. They may have more practice with their style, but you guys have years of experience using yours. You just have to get into the rhythm of using it, shouted Naruto right before he snapped his finger and all of the shadow clones charged each other. It greatly helped Naruto's headache seeing the pain in the ass clones killing one another. The first group didn't learn much at all, other than everything was a blade-filled chaos, but the second group had the memories of the first and were more experienced fighting in large-scale battles. That didn't mean they did much better though. The first group dominated the second with all the practice they had at using their style, but slowly the second group got more used to fighting with that particular style. After about a month, Naruto figured he was used to using both styles for the clones to quit killing themselves. Aw, thank goodness. shouted one clone as he fell to his knees with tears rolling down his face. What are you so happy about? The only thing that is going to change is now you're going to use Taijutsu instead of Kenjutsu, spoke Naruto with a grin. These clones had been far too much of a pain in the ass and he wasn't ready for the suffering to end. No, shouted one of the clones right before another killed him with the grass shadow style emid destroy palm technique. Naruto could only smile and nod his head to the clone that had done it. That lasted a good 2 months straight. While the clones were good at using their particular Taijutsu style, they had no experience being attacked where they could not see, being attacked by more than one enemy, or actually fighting against a real enemy. This made for great entertainment for Naruto when he could spare the time from his physical training. Naruto wasn't idle by any means. He had been working out, stretching, improving his reflexes, and practicing Fuinjutsu constantly. Since Fuinjutsu was something that you didn't actually practice all that much, just read and learned, it was not practical to use a shadow clone to learn it. All Naruto would get would be jumbled facts that he would have no idea what meant what.
That didn't mean that Naruto was a beginner when it came to Fuinjutsu. He was naturally gifted in the area and had been reading his clan's scrolls since he was a little kid. Like all Uzumaki, he had wonderful hand-eye coordination, which also made them good painters and artisans. His skills in the area grew every year, and though he couldn't say he was this for anything else, he was very close to being a basic Fuinjutsu master. He had invented his own seal and had an idea for 2 other seals.
The first seal that Naruto invented was called the Chakra Storage and Replenishing Seal. It was a seal that you store your chakra into, and when you started to run low like in battle, you could pull the chakra you saved up in the seal to use. It was great for everyone, especially people with low chakra reserves, as they could save up chakra while in the village and use it when on missions if the need arises. Naruto had already applied this seal to his left shoulder. He was planning on marketing these seals by placing them on people and then placing a seal hiding seal on top of it. The second seal Naruto was working on was called the Medic Seal. It was a seal that you could store chakra inside of like the Chakra Storage and Replenishing Seal, but instead of getting back regular chakra like you would get from the first seal, the Medic Seal converts the chakra sealed inside of it into medical chakra, so if you were ever hurt it would inject the medical chakra into your body to heal you. It was still a work in progress, as it would not save you from fatal injuries, but it will most defiantly slow down how fast you die, giving the bearer a chance to find a medic nin that could save you. The Medic Seal would be situated on his right shoulder when he finished making it. The third seal was called the Reflection Seal. It was a seal that allowed you to absorb and seal a jutsu that was being hurled at you into it, kind of like the Chakra Storage and Replenishing Seal. Then you could unseal it and send it back at whoever it was that used it on you, or whoever you wanted to send it at really. It was very versatile, as it could be placed on a weapon, some armor, a hand, or any body part, or even on the ground if you wanted to. It was very useful, but Naruto never told anyone about these seals, as many people would have asked him to apply it to them. This seal would be applied to his palms once he had finished working out a few bugs. He also had an idea of, instead of releasing the technique back at your opponents, you could simply absorb the chakra from the jutsu and add it to your own reserves. Naruto ran to the edge of a lake to start the next section of his training. He quickly made a clone who instantly got to work writing down drawing markings all over his body that would be used for the Restriction Seal, which was another seal he had invented. After an hour the clone was done, and it then slammed its palm on Naruto's chest. Instantly all of the lines on Naruto's body seemed to be sucked into the clone's palm. When the clone removed its hand, there was the character for the number 0 on Naruto's chest, representing that there was not restriction to Naruto's body at the moment. After the clone got finished applying the Restriction Seal, it puffed out of existence and Naruto started pushing chakra into the Restriction Seal. The character went from 0 to 5. Instantly Naruto could feel the strain of the seal, making it much harder for Naruto to do anything. He slowly started to run around the lake at a slow, subdued pace. It was hard for Naruto to even breath with such stress on his body, but he knew it was necessary for him to reach his dreams of becoming Hokage. After 5 hours of constant running, Naruto fell to the ground, his muscles burning like they were on fire. The only relief he had was the cool breeze that passed over him. When he got back to the clones, they looked at him with expecting faces. Naruto was always annoyed by them. They really knew how to make you feel like a jerk, even though you did nothing but make them line up on 2 sides of a battlefield and kill one another. "You guys can release yourselves. I am going home to get some shut-eye," spoke Naruto as he ran off towards his clan compound for some much-deserved rest. "What should we do?" asked one of the clones to another clone. "I don't know, but I am not ready to disappear," spoke another as he crossed his arms. "Hey, how about we practice some more fire release jutsu?" asked another clone. Instantly the clones went wild. The next day, when Naruto ran off towards his personal training ground, he felt something weird, like something amazing was going to happen today.
He wasn't disappointed when he landed in front of a large group of his clones that looked beaten up and tired, but still existed.
"What are you guys doing?" asked Naruto, looking around the clearing. There wasn't any grass left and there were countless burn marks. "Damn clones spent all night practicing fire release techniques," thought Naruto with annoyance. "Watch this, boss," shouted the clone as he started going through hand seals. When he was done, he called out scorch release. "Incinerating flare technique," shouted the clone. Instantly a giant ball of fire formed over the clone's head and it looked like a miniature sun. Naruto instantly knew that the clone used the bloodline of that Kumo nin, but was still amazed that it could do something like that.
"Wow, that is amazing. What else did you guys learn?" asked Naruto as he slowly walked towards where his clones were training. The clones all grinned and Naruto got a bad feeling. Instantly all of them puffed out of existence and Naruto got the worst migraine he had ever had in his life. The last memory he saw was of a clone saying, "You so deserved that." Naruto was so pissed, but there wasn't much he could do.
After that day, Naruto practiced mostly chakra control using his clones, and he himself would practice one of these, Fuinjutsu, the Earth Grudge fear, or his physical capabilities. He didn't like it, but he also learned some basic medical ninjutsu. Nothing serious, just enough in Naruto's opinion, since the Hokage said you needed to know what you were talking about when you were Hokage. The interesting thing that happened to Naruto was when he was all alone in his secret training ground. He had just released his clones and was continuing his physical training when a giant snake came crashing out of the forest of death. Naruto quickly created 20 shadow clones and had them surround the snake. When the snake was confused, Naruto went through a few hand seals and shouted out scorch release, incinerating flare technique. When the giant sun-like fireball formed overhead, Naruto threw it at the snake. The snake didn't have a chance in hell, and when the technique went off, it incinerated everything for a good 100 feet in every direction. Naruto was going to have to make a note to self to be more controlled when using that technique. That was when that purple-haired woman jumped out of the tree line and looked at him with surprise.
"Damn, Gaki, you say hello just like I do," spoke Anko as she grinned at him. She was surprised when he didn't check her out like all the men did, but chalked it up to him being too young to truly understand what she was packing was.
"So that was your snake summons," spoke Naruto. He knew about summons and about all of the ones in Konoha and who was their summoner. The old man had the monkey summoning contract, the weird green spandex man had the tortoises, Tsunade Senju had the slugs, although she was not in the village at the moment, Orochimaru and Anko had the snake contract, but Orochimaru was a rogue nin now, and Jiraiya the toad Sanin had the toad summoning contract. That must make her Anko. I think I have met her somewhere, thought Naruto. "Yes, I am the sexy and single Anko Midarashi, Konoha's snake mistress," shouted the woman as she posed in a weird way. Naruto was starting to think all ninja were cracked in the head after being around ninja like Spandex Man, the perverted old cage, and after hearing about all three of the Sanin's problems. "If you're so sexy, then why are you single, or is it that you only think you're sexy?" asked Naruto with a smirk on his face. He saw the God-smacked look on her face and it just made him want to laugh. That was until she started to march over towards him with death written in her eyes. "Are you saying I am not sexy enough for you?" asked Anko, as she thrust her breasts in his face. Naruto would admit it only to himself, but they felt amazing against his face, but he kept his face neutral but slightly curious so that Anko here would not think she got the upper hand. "Well, you are very beautiful, but I think you would be even prettier if you wore some more normal clothes. You look half-dressed, and like you are expecting it to rain with that jacket and boots. If you wore some form-fitting Anbu pants, and a Jonin vest over your fishnet undershirt, ditched the boots for some black combat boots, lost the jacket completely, and didn't have that murderous look on your face, you would definitely be the most beautiful woman in all of Fire Country," spoke Naruto. He was so thankful for those books on how to smooth talk your way out of life-threatening situations. Naruto was shocked when he saw the shocked look on Anko's face, but was even more shocked when he saw the flecks of a blush forming on her face. She quickly turned around and started speaking to him without looking him in the face. Naruto could only assume she was doing this to preserve her dignity or to try and hide her blush. "So you're saying that if I wore that instead of this, then you would think I was the most beautiful woman in Fire Country?" asked Anko, but Naruto could detect hesitance, or maybe it was shyness, but he couldn't be sure. "Of course no one would be able to match your beauty if you wore clothes like that," spoke Naruto with a big smile. He couldn't see it, but Anko's blush just went up a few shades. "Would you say take me out on a date if I wore something like that?" spoke Anko in a fake jokey voice, but Naruto was not fooled for a minute. "I would love to, but only after I became a full-fledged ninja of Konohagakure. That way no one could say anything bad about you when they saw us walking together, since I would be technically an adult," spoke Naruto, as he smiled at the back of Anko's head. He had butterflies in his stomach, and he remembered that the old man told him that it was a sign that he was nervous because he liked a girl and was having a hard time keeping himself in control. Then it's a date. In 2 years you will take me out for dango, spoke Anko with conviction in her voice. Naruto raised an eyebrow at her choice of food, but did not comment. She must have really loved the stuff to suggest they got there. Naruto smiled and told her it was a promise of a lifetime. After that they started to talk about more normal things. Anko was apparently impressed by him when he got that information out of that Kumo nin, but even more impressed when he took the man's heart for his own. She wanted to know why he did that, so he told her that it would protect him from dying if he ever had one of his hearts destroyed, allowed him to use the man's natural-born affinity like it was his own, and also allowed him to use his elemental affinity.
Anko was very surprised, but figured that was how he was able to kill her snake summons so easily. After that Anko and Naruto met up every other day. They really enjoyed fighting each other as Naruto was very strong, and used many different techniques, but Anko had her summons and years of experience, plus she was very skilled in taijutsu and ninjutsu just like Naruto. For the next 2 years Naruto trained with and without Anko. He completely mastered all of the jutsu, techniques, fighting styles, and everything else that Kumo ninja knew. He also moved up to using a short chikudo, but the chikudo he used looked exactly like his last sword, but just longer. His fuinjutsu skills continued to grow as did his knowledge. He was sure that he would be able to finish off his seals before long. Naruto decided to master poison release, since Anko would not get off of his back about it, and found it to be actually very useful. He learned that he could combine it with his wind release to spread it around, with his fire release which would turn the fire a purple color, to poison anyone that the fire burned making it much harder to cure, or with water for other uses. Hell, he could use it to poison water supplies of enemy nations or the ground they grew their crops on. Flashback to Naruto in the village. "Hey kid," came a feminine voice from behind Naruto. Naruto turned around to yell at whoever just called him a kid, but when he saw a beautiful woman with purple hair like Anko in Anbu clothing he decided against it. This could be Anko's sister or something and he didn't want to be attacked in the middle of the streets for yelling at her. "I don't care that you are friendly and use my name, but don't call me kid like that. I have an image in this village that I need to maintain or I will never get any respect," spoke Naruto in a calm voice, but his sharp eyes told Yugao that he was serious.
"Yay, sorry about that, but the Hokage asked me if I would test your proficiency with the sword when I had some time. If you don't mind I would like to see what has the Hokage so giddy," spoke Yugao as she showed Naruto her own sword. "Yay, sure. Sounds like fun," spoke Naruto showing her his own sword. Flashback ending. After that day Naruto and Yugao became close friends. She helped him improve his skills with the sword that she said were prodigious like his skills with fuinjutsu. Naruto thought she was a lot of fun and missed her and their training when she had to go on long missions outside of the village.
Naruto was able to keep his own with Anko in a pure taijutsu fight now, and that was saying something because the woman was fast, extremely flexible, had amazing reflexes, and all of that combined with her taijutsu style made it nearly impossible to hit her most of the time. Naruto was able to learn some basic genjutsu, but other than that he was still hopeless at it.
Naruto now wore black Anbu pants that had many pockets, a forest green t-shirt with the Uzumaki swirl on the back, but now it was a silver color. He wore a black bracelet that had a seal on it that kept all of his kunai on his left wrist, and a dark green bracelet that had a seal on it that kept all of his shuriken in it on his right wrist. Around his neck was a black necklace with a silver snake with green eyes. It was a gift from Anko, and she told him it meant a lot to her so if he ever lost it, or it became damaged she would feed him to her snake summons. Naruto's blonde hair was framed up just like the Yodem Hokage's, but unlike the Yodem he had 3 little whisker markings on each side of his face, that Anko said gave him a feral look that many women found hot. Now you can see our blonde hero on his way to his last official day as a student, because after today Naruto knew he would be a genin. He would finally be an official ninja of Konohagakure and that meant he was one step closer to achieving his dream. When Naruto walked into his classroom he wished he could say he wasn't disappointed, but he was. The only kids that would become ninja were the future clan heads, but even they were not some kind of beacons of hope for the village that was for sure. Shikamaru Nara, future clan head of the Nara clan, was sleeping like he didn't have a worry in the world. His best friend Shoji Akamichi, future clan head of the Akamichi clan, was eating like some kind of human vacuum cleaner, and their only female friend Ino Yamanaka, future clan heiress of the Yamanaka clan, although Naruto did not doubt her father would disown her before allowing her to run their clan into the ground, was fawning over the last emo like he was God's gift to mankind. The last emo was Sasuke Uchiha, the future clan head of the Uchiha clan, and the sole survivor of the Uchiha massacre that his brother committed. It left the boy mentally scared but nobody seemed to notice, or even try and get the boy to get some help. They just ignored it because their precious Uchiha could do no wrong apparently. He and Naruto had a long history of hating each other. Sasuke was jealous of Naruto's skills and claimed that only a Uchiha elite should have that kind of skill, but Naruto would always just ignore him and continue doing whatever it was that he was doing. This only infuriated the last prick even more, but he wouldn't do anything because he knew Naruto was stronger than him, so he resorted to petty name-calling, in an attempt to get a rise out of him. Then there was Hinata Hyuga, heiress of the Hyuga clan. Although Naruto heard from the grapevine that they were planning on giving that title to her little sister and branding her with the cage bird seal, something Naruto was going to get rid of the moment he became Hokage. She was overly shy and a very good person, but she had been dished out a tough hand when she was born into the hard-ass clan.
Back down the rows was Shino Aburame, the clan heir to the Aburame clan, and a generally quiet guy. Naruto knew he was constantly examining everything and storing it away for future use. Naruto could respect the boy for his dedication to being a shinobi, but one should not have to resort to stripping all or even almost all of their emotions to be a skilled shinobi.
In the front of the room was Kiba Inazaka, future clan head of the Inazaka clan, although Naruto thought that his sister deserved it way more than the annoying brat did. Kiba was always going on about being an alpha male, and exerting his dominance. This was probably why he did not like Naruto, because Naruto was stronger and smarter than him at everything. It made Kiba feel threatened, and that caused him to lash out at Naruto. Naruto for his part just ignored Kiba, but if he really got on his nerve he would shoot him and Sasuke a small dose of his killing intent to shut them up. The only people that had a chance of passing was Sai and Sakura.
Sai was like a robot, and used ink past ninjutsu that he made by drawing on a notepad with an ink brush.
He was pretty skilled, and smart too, but he was very rigged and only knew so much in only certain fields. He was good, but he was seriously lacking in a lot of areas, and his robot personality made it difficult for others to be around him. Sakura Haruno was the daughter of a civilian councilwoman, something else Naruto was going to disband as soon as he became a ninja, and Naruto was sure that the woman was using her status to make sure her daughter passed, and it was also due to the civilian council that the academy was so easy. Sakura was nothing but a die-hard fangirl, and even she was passing. Besides book smarts, she was nothing more than a civilian. After a while Naruto's teachers walked in. The first one was a tan-skinned man with a scar running across his nose. His name was Iruka and he was a chunin of Konohagakure. The second man was named Mizuki. He had white hair, and was very pale complicit. Naruto could tell that he didn't like him, but just ignored the man as he was not worth his time.
Okay, today is the day of the graduation exams, so I want everyone ready, spoke Iruka as Mizuki passed out various tests. When he got to Naruto he gave him a dirty look, but Naruto just ignored him and looked at his paper. He knew instantly that there was a genjutsu on his paper, so he removed it and finished before everyone else. That pissed Mizuki off, but he didn't say anything. When everyone was done Iruka ushered them outside for the throwing knives test. Okay you guys, here is your next test. You will throw 10 kunai and 10 shuriken. You will get bonus points for hitting the 8 kill spots, as well as how many kunai and shuriken you actually hit your target with, shouted Iruka as all of the students liked up to take their turns.
Kiba got a 6-7, Hinata got 8-8, Shino got the same as Hinata 8-8. Sakura and Ino were pathetic, only getting a 4-4. Sai got an 7-7, Choji got 6-5, and Shikamaru got a 6-6 because apparently it was too troublesome to throw kunai. Sasuke was the most annoying, getting a 9-9 only to give Naruto a superior than you look, but that look vanished when Naruto got a 10-10 and hit all 8 of the kill spots including both eyes. Sasuke was far from happy, but Iruka moved them on to the Taijutsu portion next.
Naruto was getting tired of Mizuki trying to sabotage his test, so he figured he would teach the man a lesson he surely wouldn't soon forget. After Sasuke was done hanging upside down from some strange Taijutsu attack, Naruto entered the ring.
Mizuki had a sadistic look much like Anko's, but this one was full of hate instead of childish curiosity. Mizuki rushed at him, but Naruto easily dodged the slow punch the man aimed at his face, and delivered a breathtaking knee to the man's solar plexus. Mizuki did not stand up, and Iruka quickly called the match in Naruto's favor. After that Iruka ushered them all back into the classroom for the final test. Okay class, all you will have to do is show me that you can do the 3 basic academy jutsu and you will become official ninja of Konohagakure, spoke Iruka. Naruto was defiantly make the old man a part-time teacher here when he became the 5th fire shadow to make sure these idiots stop making pansy ninja and start making real hardcore ninja that the leaf actually needed. Just like Naruto predicted, only the clan heirs plus Sai and Sakura passed the exams. When Naruto came out he had his leaf forehead protector strapped to his forehead with his bangs falling over the edges just like the 4th fire shadow. On his way out Mizuki tried to convince him that there was a secret exam to become a chunin, but Naruto declined as he knew there was no such thing. Being around the old man most of the time taught you much about the village, and that only led Naruto to believe that Mizuki was up to something. Right when he was about to cross the wall that protected the Uzumaki clan compound, Anko showed up out of nowhere with an almost scared look on her face. "Hey Anko-chan, how was tea and I today?" asked Naruto with a smile. He was happy to see that cute blush on Anko's face appear like always. She looked so hot in her new outfit. She now wore dark blue Anbu-style pants that were pretty tight, a green Tokubetsu Jonin jacket on top of her fishnet undershirt. Anko really liked it because when she unzipped it a little bit to show off the girls, she knew Naruto was looking. She also knew that he was looking at the side of her breasts as her impressive chest pushed the jacket out a good ways, allowing him to see the sides of her double D-cup breasts. She had ditched those weird rain boots for some all-black combat boots. Around her neck was a purple gem necklace that Naruto had bought for her to complement her beautiful hair. He remembered how she went cherry red and how he didn't see her for a week after that. When he did finally start to see her again, she always had the necklace on, just like he always had on the necklace that she gave him on. It was fun. Got to see some poor fool scream bloody murder, which is always fun, but that's not why I came over. Do you still want to go on that date you promised me all those years ago? Asked Anko as she looked away from Naruto, too scared of rejection. Of course. Does tomorrow night sound good for you? Asked Naruto as he took and kissed Anko's knuckles. Anko flushed cherry red right before nodding vigorously, and then she took off into the night. As Naruto walked back to the academy, hopefully for the last time, he couldn't help but remember what happened 5 days ago. He had promised to take Anko out on a romantic dinner over 2 years ago, and he was happy that she remembered their little promise. When Naruto showed up to pick her up for their date, he had been wearing a new design called a tuxedo, which was made specifically for him. It didn't take long for him to make it. Not too long ago he discovered he could even make clothes with his Earth Grudge Fear threads. The clothes were very strong, and would repair themselves if chakra was applied to the clothes. His particular tux was all black, and had a dark gray undershirt to offset all of the black, with silver cuff links. His shoes were polished until they shone, and his undershirt was unbuttoned lightly so that his muscular chest was visible underneath the necklace Anko had given him. When the door opened up, Naruto was shocked to say the least. Standing there was not the Anko he was used to seeing. The Anko he was used to seeing was work, tease Anko. But this Anko was model, die via blood loss from the nose area. She was wearing a dark purple form-fitting dress that stopped a little past the middle of her bubble butt, and her knee. She had back jeweled earring in her ears, and the necklace he bought her around her neck. She also had on some dark purple stiletto high heels on, that really helped to show off those amazing legs of hers. All Naruto could say was, "Damn." This seemed to please her as she smiled and took his arm like a lady would. Naruto just smiled as she led him to a dark-lit dango bar that she was obviously familiar with. As they had walked, every man had looked on with shock, jealousy, and lust at Anko and Naruto, while the women looked on with shock, jealousy, and lust at Naruto and Anko. They just ignored everyone except each other as they talked about whatever came to mind at the moment. When they got to the dango bar, the people looked at them both with barely restrained shock. Naruto pulled out a chair for Anko, who graciously took it, and then Naruto took his seat across from her. They both ordered the same thing. They ordered a round of every flavor dango and a bottle of sake. They toasted to Naruto's graduation, but Naruto could tell there was something about the way she said graduation that was iffy, but forgot about it as the night rolled on. Naruto took Anko to a beautiful lake with swan flying around. It truly made the night magical. When Naruto walked Anko up to her front door, he was surprised when she pulled him in and gave him a deep kiss. It was very nice, and Naruto quickly got over his shock and kissed Anko back. After a while they broke up and went their separate ways. Neither Naruto nor Anko could get much sleep that night because neither of them could stop thinking about that magical night and the amazing kiss at the end. By the end of the week, everyone knew that Naruto and Anko were an item. When Naruto walked into the classroom, everyone gave him a weird stare. He could only assume it was because of the rumors about him and Anko. Naruto just shrugged his shoulders and sat down in his own seat. Eventually the students' senseis started to show up, but none of them were anything special except a certain few. The first one to interest Naruto was a man with short black hair, tan skin, wearing the standard Jonin attire, wearing a sash with the character for fire on it, and was smoking a cigarette. Naruto instantly knew that this was the old man's wayward son Asuma. Apparently the old man and Asuma had a falling out, so Asuma joined the 12 Guardians, the Fire Lord's personal bodyguards. Apparently he was back, and as a Jonin sensei no less. Whoever got him as a sensei would be very lucky. Apparently Naruto wasn't lucky enough because Asuma called out Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji's names. Naruto could only figure Asuma wanted to train the next generation of the Ino Shika Cho. The second person to interest Naruto was a woman with wine-red eyes who was wearing what looked like bandages all over her body. She was Kurenai Yuhi, the Genjutsu mistress of the leaf, but Naruto only knew her because Anko had introduced him to her a few months ago. She seemed like a nice enough person, but Naruto hoped he wasn't on her team as he sucked at casting Genjutsu completely.
He could break out of just about any Genjutsu, but creating one is completely lost to him so.
He was relieved when she called for Hinata, Shino, and Kiba, but was slightly skeptical of the choices. Kurenai specialized in Genjutsu and not really anything else. She must have been banking on their clans to teach them everything they would need to know for offense while she taught the teamwork and life experience type things. In Naruto's opinion it was not a good match, but he would have to hold his tongue for a little bit longer if he wanted to change anything. After Kurenai left, a man with brown hair and black eyes walked it. Naruto had never seen this man before, but could sense that he had felt his chakra, so Naruto figured the man was an ex-Anbu ninja of some kind, probably worked in the old man's office more than likely. Naruto was relatively shocked when he looked at him and made a "follow me" sign. Naruto instantly got up and followed the man out of the room. After a while of walking they were on the roof before the man stopped and turned around to look at Naruto. "My name is Yamato, and I will be your Jonin instructor from now on," spoke the man. He saw Naruto looking at him funny but was not sure what he was trying to see. "Why am I the only one you took with you? Aren't there supposed to be 3 genin per team?" asked Naruto. He didn't know this ninja, so he didn't really see any real reason besides his perfect academy record as to why he would want him as an apprentice, which is what Naruto figured this was. "I will be your mentor from this day forward, and you shall be my apprentice. The Hokage asked me to be your Jonin sensei as he believes I will be able to help you learn and master many things you don't already know, and help you learn how to use any new elemental bloodline limits you might ascertain," spoke the man. He didn't really have a facial expression, and Naruto just figured the man had probably been in the Anbu for far too long and had probably dedicated his entire life to his work. Some people just don't know how to relax, but then again some people relax far too much. "So the old man told you about that, huh? Well, if you could teach me how to use a bloodline limit then you must have some kind of previous knowledge of using them. I can only guess you have an elemental bloodline limit that nobody knows about, but my only question is why don't they? With Konoha's rumor factory, anyone and everyone who had a bloodline to a freckle has at least 10 rumors about them, so how were you able to get around without anyone knowing?" spoke Naruto. He was pleased to see that stone-hard face turn into something that resembled shock before he fixed it. "I was an experiment, the last one before he left the village, which left me with a power he greatly wanted. He was experimenting with the cells of the first fire shadow," spoke the man with venom in his voice. Naruto has a small look of shock about him, but quickly schooled his features, much to the approval of his sensei, and started to think a mile a minute. "So you can use the Shodai Hokage's Mokuden bloodline limit," whispered Naruto with awe. Already he was coming up with plans on how to get the man's heart without getting in trouble. If the man was even close to as strong as Naruto thought he would have to kill him quickly while he was unaware. "Yes and no, I can use it, but nowhere near what the Shodai was said to be able to do. I can use it like a normal bloodline, but not the godly extent that the first was said to be able to do," spoke Yamato. He was examining Naruto's facial features, and was pleased to see that the boy already had great skills in hiding his emotions. "The Hokage is banking a lot on you taking that hat from him soon, boy, so I can only hope that don't disappoint him. He really wants to retire, and if even one rumor about your skill and strength are true then you have what it takes to be the next Hokage," thought Yamato. I bet that is disappointing, isn't it? But I would just be happy to be able to do it at all as it is the bloodline everyone wants, except the people of this village who can only think about the Uchiha and their thieving ways," spoke Naruto with venom in his voice. He really didn't like Sasuke or the Uchiha as they were the ones that would mainly give him dirty looks, and they would even sometimes detain him in the Uchiha police station. The last time that it happened the Hokage blew up on the deceased clan head, and from then on the Uchiha ignored him completely. It was kind of a release honestly, but being ignored was probably even worse than being hated. "I don't feel disappointed as I has trained very hard, but enough of that. Meet me in training ground 10 in 10 minutes. If you're late you won't pass," spoke the man before he used the body flicker technique to flick away. So there was another test. I knew I saw some kind of worry in Anko-chan's eyes when I talked about being a genin. I will just have to make sure I pass, so Anko-chan won't have to worry, thought Naruto as he hailed Astad to training ground 10. It only took him 4 minutes to get there, which shocked Yamato, but he quickly got over his shock and nodded his head. "It looks like you're pretty fast, and have some good stamina as you don't seem out of breath. Okay, here is the test you will have to pass to actually become a genin. You will have to defeat me in combat. You can use any jutsu, fighting style, whatever it is that you want, but you must defeat me before this timer goes off. You have 30 minutes, spoke Yamato. Naruto quickly held up half a hand seal, but still 10 clones came into existence. Naruto had truly mastered the shadow clone jutsu to a point he only needed one hand to make them anymore. The first clone charged Yamato at impressive speeds. The clone was able to hold his own against Yamato for about 10 minutes before it was defeated. Yamato looked shocked that it took that long for him to defeat a clone that only had 10% of the original's fighting capabilities. Naruto nodded his head at two more who quickly rushed Yamato once again. He was on the defensive for a while, but when he pulled out his kunai he was able to destroy the clones. Naruto pointed to the next clone that pulled out its katana and charged him. Yamato received multiple shallow cuts from the clone, and had to resort to using ninjutsu to defeat it. When Naruto saw Yamato use ninjutsu he nodded at another clone that charged Yamato, but when he got about halfway to him he started going through hand seals.
Fire style. Great fireball jutsu, shouted the clone. Instantly a red-hot fireball shot out of the clone's mouth and blasted off towards Yamato at incredible speeds.
Yamato saw the fireball coming and quickly started going through hand seals of his own. Wood style. Wood locking wall jutsu, shouted Yamato as wood came out of the ground and formed a dome around him, protecting him from the fire. When the fire died down, Yamato went through a few hand seals and shouted out wood style. Wood dragon jutsu. When he got done calling out the name of his jutsu, a wooden dragon came out of the ground and killed his clone. Naruto saw the wood release techniques and had to admit, even as watered down as it was, the Mokuton was really an amazing bloodline, but Naruto had his scorch release, and a few jutsu he had wanted to try for some time now. Quickly Naruto started going through hand seals and stopped and held up his hands to his mouth while he sucked in air. Scorch release. Dragon breath jutsu, shouted Naruto as a long stream of red and white fire launched out of his mouth. When the fire hit the ground it spread out in all directions, incinerating everything that it touched. Yamato saw this and knew instantly that his wood-locking wall jutsu would not stand up to such an overwhelming fire-style jutsu, so he jumped high into the trees and tried to escape the wave of fire coming his way. Naruto saw Yamato run for the hills and smiled to himself. He already had a plan for the man, and it would involve seeing if wood could stand the heat. Yamato stopped running to catch his breath, but right before he could stand up, ninja wire appeared everywhere and pinned him to the tree he was standing on. When he followed the ninja wire he saw one of Naruto's clones going through hand signs. When the clone got done going through hand signs it shouted out fire release, dragon fire technique. After he called this out, fire blasted out of his mouth and traveled down through the ninja wire straight into Yamato's body. The clone was still on guard, and was thankful it was when it saw Yamato turn into a wood dummy. It gave it just enough time to see Yamato emerge with a tree right behind him before Yamato destroyed him. Now Naruto knew that Yamato could travel within the trees, which were not a good thing as almost all of Konoha was forests. Naruto quickly thought up a way to smoke Yamato out of the trees. He made two more clones and they all started going through hand size. 3 of the clones called out wind style, great breakthrough jutsu, the other 3 clones called out fire style, great fireball jutsu, and the real Naruto shouted out scorch release, dragon breath jutsu. 4 powerful streams of sun-hot fire shout out in opposite directions, completely incinerating the surrounding forest. All anyone could see now was fire, and Naruto just waited for Yamato to show himself. It did not take long as a root came out of the ground. From that root Yamato emerged, coughing up smoke and sweating like a pig on market day. Naruto did not give him the chance to recover and held the blade next to Yamato's neck right before the timer went off. "Looks like I win, Yamato-sensei," joked Naruto as he started to use medical ninjutsu to heal the man. He had a good deal of smoke in his lungs and a few burn marks on his body. For someone who got a watered-down version of the first Fire Shadow's bloodline, he used it very well. Naruto could only imagine how powerful the man would be if he had the full-blown bloodline. After that, Naruto and Yamato talked about a training schedule. Yamato decided to teach Naruto water release as he needed to know how to put out the fires that he started. Naruto wanted to start training immediately, but Yamato said no as he had to fix the forest that Naruto incinerated. Naruto was mad that the man wanted to postpone his training, but let it go when the man gave him the stink eye. When Naruto got home he pulled out a book on how to master water release from his clan's library and went outside. When he was outside he made 100 clones and ordered them to start mastering water release, and the end he made 100 more and ordered them to master earth release. He would show his sensei that he didn't need him, after all he just got done kicking the man's ass. For the next month Naruto mastered earth and water release. Yamato was very surprised Naruto was able to learn how to master elemental training so fast, but Naruto just shrugged and continued to practice and master earth and water release. The next 2 months were on learning and mastering various earth and water style ninjutsu, which once again Naruto miraculously was able to do without any problems whatsoever. The 4th month was more on fighting and getting used to using those jutsu that Yamato had taught him in combat situations. Naruto was a natural at using ninjutsu, and his amazingly large chakra reserves only made it easier. It was one of the reasons that Naruto could be considered a one-man army. One day while they were training, a rat-masked Anbu ninja jumped down from the trees and handed Yamato a message. The Hokage needs to see you two as soon as possible. There is some trouble happening on one of the new Genin's mission. Apparently they got into some trouble and need some backup, spoke the Anbu ninja. What can you expect with such a joke for an academy, spoke Naruto as he looked at the Anbu ninja. That is true, spoke the Anbu ninja before leaving using the body flicker technique. Come, we need to get to the Hokage, spoke Yamato as he started to run in the direction of the Hokage's tower. I know that, I was right here, you ass. This man is really working my nerves, thought Naruto as he ran behind Yamato. It didn't take long to get to the Hokage tower, and when they got inside, Naruto got a hug from the secretary and left a clone with her to catch them up, as he did miss her. Reporting for duty, Hokage-sama, spoke Yamato in a completely serious voice. Naruto may have found the man annoying, but he was a good ninja and was exactly how ninja should act when working. Ah, good, you two are here. We have had some problems with Team 7's first C-ranked mission.
Apparently the client lied to us, and it is actually a ranked mission and not a C-ranked one. Kakashi believes that with some backup they will be able to finish this mission without any fatalities, but just to be safe I have decided to send your team as Naruto-kun here as an expert medic, and Yamato, you are a ninja with lots of battle experience.
Your mission is to assassinate Zabuza Momochi unless he leaves Wave Country, Gato of Gato Shipping, and any other rogue ninja residing inside of Wave Country. It will be a low S-ranked mission. Do you accept? Asked the Hokage. Yamato and Naruto nodded their heads and were off to Wave Country. How long will it take for us to get to Wave Country? Asked Naruto as he and Yamato passed the entrance to Konoha. It should only take an hour at the most, so keep a sharp eye out for any ambushes, spoke Yamato as they flew across the trees at amazing speeds.
After an hour of running they came upon a sight that even Yamato in his Anbu mode would have to admit was pitiful.
Sasuke Uchiha was brooding so hard that little thunderclouds had materialized over his head. Sakura Haruno's eyes had hearts in them that neither Naruto nor Yamato could figure out how she did it, and said who had that smile that they both found creepy. The saddest of them all was the sensei that was letting it all happen just so he could read more of his pervert book. Both Yamato and Naruto were so mad they were close to snapping. When they jumped out of the trees, everyone's attention snapped in their direction. Sasuke looked angry, Sakura looked confused, Sai looked creepy, Kakashi was a pervert, and the bridge builder looked ready to wet himself, or he was just shaking because of how drunk he was. Ah, Yamato, I was wondering who they were going to send, spoke Kakashi with his eye smile. Naruto did not even give him a chance to even acknowledge him before snapping at him. I will be reporting the disgusting sight I saw that you call a team when we get back to Konoha Itaki. I don't care if you were an Anbu captain when you were still just a child. What I saw was ridiculous and it reflects poorly on all of Konoha. If you just want to sit around and read your pervert book, that is fine. I will have a quick chat with the Hokage and have you demoted to a chunin so you can play gate guard for the rest of your life, so you will have plenty of time to read your pervert books, spoke Naruto as he gave Kakashi a hard glare. Naruto, just because you were a hotshot coming out of the academy 4 months ago, I wouldn't suggest you threaten me, but that was as far as Kakashi got before Naruto cut him off again. I could still be a civilian, and if I saw that crap I would have reported it to the Hokage anyways. It is not a threat, Hitaki, it is a promise. Unless you start cleaning your Act 1 sagest you find a chair you like, because you'll need it for gate duty, spoke Naruto as he and Kakashi stared each other down. Yamato decided to intervene and put a stop to this nonsense. Kakashi, Naruto, stop this at once. Kakashi, Naruto is right, what we saw was a disgrace to the standards all Konoha try to preserve. Naruto, you should not speak to your commanding officer like that, chided Yamato as he stood in between both of them. Are you two here to be our backup? Asked Kakashi as he returned his attention to Yamato as he ignored Naruto staring at him. Yes, in a matter of speaking we are. We were sent here to assassinate Gato, Zabuza, and any other missing nin in Wave Country. It is an official S-ranked mission granted to us by the Sandaime Hokage, spoke Yamato.
What? How did the Dobi get an S-ranked mission? Shouted Sasuke as he glared daggers at Naruto.
By not shouting in enemy territory like an idiot, by working hard and becoming strong, by not brooding and no insulting everyone that crosses my path, runt, spoke Naruto as he brushed Sasuke off like he didn't even exist. Sasuke looked ready to kill, but Kakashi shot him a look that said, shut up. We need to keep moving. Your team will guard the bridge builder while my team handles any noob nin we come across," spoke Yamato. Kakashi nodded and got his team in the diamond formation. None of the, besides Sai, looked happy about the situation. Eventually they made it inside of Wave Country when an unnatural mist started to set in. Naruto could tell there was chakra in the air with his sensor abilities, and placed his hand on his katana's handle.
That was when he heard the sound of something spinning and coming in their direction.
Quickly Naruto shouted, "Duck!" Everyone ducked to the ground.
Kakashi dragged Sakura down, Yamato dragged the bridge builder down, Sai and Sasuke were able to duck in time by themselves, but Naruto didn't duck. He quickly pulled out his katana and used the flying swallow technique to channel wind chakra into the blade. Naruto quickly blocked what looked to be a giant cleaver with his sword, but the giant cleaver did not last long against his flying swallow-empowered katana and was cut into 2 pieces.
When Naruto turned around and found the man he was looking for, standing on a branch with the bottom half of the giant cleaver in his hands was Zabuza Momochi. He had the standard Kiri outfit on, but had tape all around his face. The man had tan skill and dark short hair. Even with only half of the sword, Naruto could tell the man was having some difficulties holding it without using both hands. It was a weakness Naruto noticed instantly. Well, that isn't something you see every day. A genin using a Jonin level technique to a masterful level may have caught me off guard, but it won't happen again, spoke Zabuza as he stood a good 6+ feet tall in the air. Zabuza Momochi, my sensei and I have been sent here to terminate you. You are hindering Konoha Shinobi and that will not go unpunished. You have either 2 choices. You can leave Wave Country and never come back or interfere with another Konoha mission, or you can stay and die. The choice is yours, but I suggest you choose wisely, spoke Naruto as he started channeling wind release chakra into his katana. Huh, you think you and your sensei are enough to stop me? Ha, I laugh at your stupidity. Let's see here. How about you fight my apprentice and I fight your sensei? It will be a battle to the death, shouted Zabuza as he charged Yamato. Naruto just ignored the man and focused his attention of the ninja with the Kiri Hunter Nin mask on. Whoever he or she was, they were young, that was for sure.
Please die with some dignity, spoke the Hunter Nin, but the voice was distorted because of the mask, so Naruto could not figure out the sex of the person.
Only if you do so first, spoke Naruto as he charged the Hunter Nin. The Hunter Nin quickly started going through hand signs before calling out 1,000 flying ice needles of death. Instantly the fog turned into hundreds of small ice needles that were all pointed at Naruto before shooting towards him with amazing speeds. Naruto stopped his charge and started going through hand signs of his own. When he got done he shouted out Scorch Release. Multi-fire bullet jutsu. Instantly hundreds of tiny bullets of scorching fire shot out of Naruto's mouth and hit all of the incoming ice needles. The Hunter Nin looked surprised for some reason, but Naruto did not let it distract him, so he swung his katana and unleashed a powerful blade of wind chakra at the Hunter Nin. The chakra blade moved very fast, but damn if that Hunter Nin had the fastest hands he had ever seen. When the Hunter Nin got done going through hand signs he shouted Ice Release, Ice Dome Jutsu. Instantly a dome of ice surrounded the Hunter Nin. Naruto thought his wind blade technique would easily cut through the Hunter Nin's little ice dome, but he was surprised when the ice dome stood strong. You are very strong, but you will not survive my next technique, spoke the Hunter Nin as he once again started going through hand signs. When he was done he shouted Ice Style. Demonic Ice Mirror Jutsu. Instantly 21 mirrors of ice surrounded Naruto and in all of the mirrors was an image of the Hunter Nin. The Hunter Nin reached back and then threw ice needles from all of the mirrors. Naruto was surprised at this, as he thought it was all an illusion, but it seemed that all of the mirrors could attack him at once. Quickly he started thinking of a way to escape, but the ice needles were first, so he started going through hand signs. When he got done weaving his hand signs he called out Earth Style. Earth Dome Jutsu. As soon as Naruto called out the name of his jutsu, a dome of earth covered him. He heard the ice needles hit the earth dome, but none of them were able to pierce, which was a good thing in Naruto's book. Quickly Naruto started going through hand signs. When he was done he let his earth dome fall and called out the name of his jutsu before the Hunter Nin could attack him. He shouted Scorch Release. Extremely steaming murder and 21 balls of white and red fire started surrounding him. Naruto stuck out his hands and instantly the balls shot out towards the mirrors. When the fireballs hit the ice mirrors all you could hear was ice hissing as it melted super fast right before a big explosion. Naruto saw the Hunter Nin fly into the air, and didn't let the chance pass him up. Naruto quickly appeared beside the flying fake Hunter Nin and grabbed him by the shoulders before spinning around and slamming him into the ground. When Naruto saw that the Hunter Ninja wasn't getting up he smirked, knowing that he had won their little battle, but still it was close. Naruto looked over towards Zabuza and knew instantly that he had to help his sensei out. Naruto quickly ran over to where he heard metal clashing. When he got there he saw Zabuza and Yamato fighting using Kenjutsu. Naruto saw that Yamato was using some kind of wood sword and shield to fend off Zabuza, so Naruto snuck up behind Zabuza as he and Yamato were locking swords. Naruto willed his earth grudge fear to wrap around his hand until I looked like a giant whip that he channeled wind chakra through. Naruto pulled his hand back and then swung it forward and watched at the whip cut Zabuza's head of. Zabuza's head slowly started to slide off right before falling to the ground and dying. Yamato looked tired but thankful. Kakashi looked impressed. Sasuke and Sakura looked jeepers creepers scared, and Sai looked serious, but Naruto knew the creepy smile was just around the corner. Naruto didn't say anything and quickly took Zabuza's heart for his own. "What took you so long?" asked Yamato as he stretched his arm muscles after that difficult battle with Zabuza. Zabuza's apprentice was far stronger than Zabuza, and had the famous ice-release bloodline of Kiri. "It took me some time to get a feel for how it worked, its weaknesses, and things like that. I also wanted to see what all it could do and I was very impressed," spoke Naruto. He saw the look Yamato was giving him and nodded his head. "So you did use the earth grudge fear to get the Hunter Nin's heart, so you could use his ice release?" spoke Yamato as he eyed Naruto. Naruto just smiled and walked over to him and started to apply healing chakra to his body. A few seconds later Yamato was as good as new. "You wound me, sensei. Do you really think I would kill someone just to get their bloodline? I am not that shallow, trust me," spoke Naruto with a faint smile on his face. "Oh, then what did you do with him?" asked Yamato, only to see Naruto point off to the side. The mist was clearing and soon Yamato could see the Hunter Nin in a small crater not moving. "So you knocked him out, huh?" was all Yamato said before looking back at Naruto. "So what are you going to do with him?"
"Either convince him to join Konoha or let him go," spoke Naruto with a shrug of the shoulders. It seemed this wasn't sufficient for Sasuke though.
"Why are you helping that loser? You should just kill him and be done with it," shouted Sasuke, veins popping out of his neck and his one-tome Sharingan flaring. "Just what I would expect from a weakling who couldn't even protect himself," spoke Naruto as he stood up and walked over to the Hunter Nin and threw him over his shoulder. Sasuke went to attack Naruto, but Kakashi stopped him. The bridge builder's house was very nice, but his daughter was a gem. She was so kind, smart, and beautiful that Naruto found him spending more time with her than learning how to use his water release. He did learn that even after 4 months Kakashi had not even taught his genin tree walking, which was another thing Naruto was going to report to the Hokage. He knew the Hokage wouldn't do anything, but when he became Hokage he would have proof that Kakashi was not doing his job properly and demote him for sure. They stayed in Wave Country for a week, and in that time Naruto spent most of his time trying to convince Haku that life was still worth living and that he should really consider joining Konoha. Haku was a stubborn guy to say the least, but he didn't leave, which Naruto took as a good sign. Naruto knew the closer the bridge got to be complete the more likely Gato would come with whomever to try and kill the bridge builder. He was right. After 1 week Gato and an army of bandits were seen coming towards the village. Kakashi left Sakura at the bridge builder's house to protect their family, but Naruto didn't trust Sakura for a second to protect Tsunade and her son, as much of a pain in the ass that he was, so he left a shadow clone to protect them from the shadows. When Naruto, Yamato, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sai got to the bridge they saw Gato and at least 1,000 bandits. Naruto knew that even though there were a lot of them, they were simply bandits, nothing compared to a trained ninja. "Let me handle this," spoke Naruto as he stepped forwards. Sasuke instantly started bitching when he heard Naruto say that. "What make you think you going to get all of them when I an Uchiha elite am much more suited for a mission like this?" spoke Sasuke with the Uchiha vanity showing again. "This," spoke Naruto as he slapped Sasuke across the face with the piece of paper written by the Hokage that said Yamato and Naruto were the ones who were supposed to eliminate all of the treats in Wave Country while Kakashi's team was supposed to protect the bridge builder and his family. "As far as I am concerned you're not even supposed to be here, and I will be writing that on my report as well," spoke Naruto as he started to walk toward the bandits and looked at them all like they were bugs beneath his shoes.
Naruto counted how many there were and began going through hand signs. When he was done he shouted out Scorch Release, Demon Lantern Jutsu. Suddenly hundreds of white heads with horns sticking out of their skulls with a smooth red aura around them formed in the air around Naruto. Using a mental command Naruto sent the demon lanterns after the bandits with a smile on his face.
The bandits saw this and stopped in their tracks. This wasn't like what they had been told. Gato had told them that all ninja could do was barely manipulate the elements to hide them or to confuse them. This didn't look like an illusion to them, and soon they started to run away.
Unfortunately they were not fast enough to outrun Naruto's Scorch Release Jutsu. The demon lanterns would crash into someone and then mummify them. It was a gruesome sight to behold. Each demon lantern had its own target and they would chase that person down until they ran into them. Just like many other scorch release jutsu, this one caused all of the water in the victim's body to boil and then come out as steam, leaving the body's nothing but mummified steam.
Soon all that was left was Gato himself, though he was trying to run away with his little legs. Naruto wasn't about to let him get away and started to go through hand signs once again.
Scorch style. Incinerating bullet jutsu, shouted Naruto as he pointed his index finger at Gato's escaping back.
A small ball of white fire formed at the end of it right before Naruto pressed his thumb to the back of his index finger, causing the white ball of fire to shoot off towards Gato.
The white ball of energy was incredibly fast and had a faint aura of red fire around it like a shooting star right before it pierced Gato's heart. After 3 seconds, Gato's body exploded in a giant white hot explosion that left a large crater and incinerated all of the plant life around it as well. There was no body left to recover after that.
After that, the villagers partied for 3 days straight. They were easily able to afford it as Naruto had transferred all of Gato's assets to Wave Country and made sure that everyone got their fair share of the money. With Gato gone, they were easily able to get supplies, but Naruto had to remind them that they did have to pay for the S&C ranked mission. But they were not worried, as with the money they got from Gato they easily were able to pay for the missions. As they left, Tsunade told Naruto that they were going to name the bridge after him, but he asked them to use his last name as it would last much longer. They all agreed and soon the Great Uzumaki Bridge was formed. After much talk, Naruto was able to convince Haku to come back to Konoha with him. The executioner's blade was strapped to Haku's back, and Naruto promised him he could keep it as a gift. Haku seemed a bit shy, but other than that he was a good guy. Naruto was happy he had decided to join Konoha because it would be a pain in the ass to complain to the Hokage that Kakashi was doing a botched job when he let someone who attacked Konoha ninja go. The thing that surprised Naruto the most was when Tsunade told him that she had fallen for him and that she was heartbroken to see him leave. Naruto knew he was going to catch fire from Enko later, but he also knew he would have to repopulate the Uzumaki clan, so he had agreed to the CRA, so now he would need multiple wives to bear him multiple children. He informed Tsunade that if she was willing to share him, then he would love for her to come with him to Konoha. He instantly gave him a very deep kiss, and agreed to it. When he asked her what about her son, she said that he and his grandfather were going to go around Wave Country and help out all of the people there, so she would have been left alone anyways. Naruto just smiled at her, tossed her on his back making her blush brightly, and hauled ass to Konoha. Thanks for watching. Also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.